Today's tip is concerning projection archives that you can use in PHDWin software to help with your reserve estimates and reports. All right, so what are they? What are projection archives? What are they used for? They're just a file structure that PHDWin gives you that lets you organize and document and compare different reserve projections for your project. So some examples could be, say you had a reserve report that you did last year. So you saved those projections, and then now you're going to do this year's reserve projections. You might want to call them under a different archive name. And then you could have a drilling well where you have a most likely reserve projection, and then you could have a high case projection. So you could run the economics of a high case or a low case of a drilling well, those sort of things. So PHDWin allows you to do that. So let's show an example. Here's a production graph of a producing well that you're going to do the reserves on, and it's for the year-end 2018 reserve evaluation, and you have production data just through the beginning of 2019. So you go ahead and make your projection and you save it as 2018, and then a year goes by and you want to update the reserves on this well for 2019. So now 2019 you have more production data, but you can see the well is declining faster than expected, so you adjust and you make a new archive for this year's projection. So we can document both archives using PHDWin, and each archive will have the name of the projection here. So that's an example of how it works. So it's real handy. So let's see how we can do this in PHDWin. All right, here's a PHDWin database with 9 producing wells here listed here with our 2 reserve projections. Actually, we have 3, so we're going to take one of this one off. All right, so how does this work? You open your ARPS button, and the active archive is listed here at the bottom, and it's got these little buttons here. So whatever archive is active is here. All right. Where do you save and store archives? Let's go to File, Project Properties, and then we go to Archives. So you can see here's all your archives. We got different ones. We got you have the name of the archive and then a little abbreviation. So you can edit and delete and change them here. And there's other ways to do it. So let's look at it another way. But let's look at a few cases. So we got several wells. We have 2 different archives and shown on there for the different years. If you don't want to show both archives, you double click, you go to Archives, and then you turn off the little check marks, and then it will only have the default archive, which is right here, which is the one that's active. If you choose another one, it'll bring that one up. If you double click, if you want to show last year or this year and the client, you can also put them on. So now you can put a bunch. And this can be done globally by doing Editor Global. Go to Graph Layout and say Hide Archive. I want to hide some of the older archives. You do that. Okay, so that's real easy. If you have this is 2019 reserves, but you want to go ahead and do 2020. So you can just is another way to make archive. You can go to Graph, Archive, Save As, and just make a new one. We're going to call it 2020 Update. And then we just do it. Okay, so now then we can come in here and say, well, we're gonna adjust it this year. We think the reserves are gonna flatten out. Save that. So now that's on my 2020 archive. So if you want to see last year, just double click, put the 19. Okay, so now you can see both of them. So it's real handy. And if you're not, whenever you run a report, the active archive is what's gonna run. But if you got different archives active on different wells, the easy way to check it to see what's available is you go to this, you sort order, and then go to projections and say active archive. So this is going to show you what's going to be active on each well when you run the report. So it's real handy. You can create new archives using the project properties archives if you want. We can say a low, maybe you want to have a low case. So that just sets up a blank archive. All right, let's look at a drilling well. All right, say you have a drilling well and this is your reserve projection and you consider that the high case. You call it high case. Well, you might want to run the reserves and economics for the high case, or you might want to run the most likely case. Most likely is a little different. If you want a low case, you can do save as, create a new one. Oh, we already have one already set, so we're going to say save it as low. Okay, now we're going to reduce it to the low. That's our low case, save that. If you want to see low, medium, and high, you just go most likely. Oh, okay. So now there's our 3 archives. It's real easy to do. And for instance, when you run your reserve report on the individual wells, it always shows you what the active archive is. So when you run a report and save it, you always know. So I hope that tip was helpful. Call me if you have any questions or anything. Thanks.